after Jesus resurrected, in the book of John chapter 20 and verse 23, let's read John 20. John 20 and verse 23. It says, KJV, give me KJV, please. It says, whosoever sins, you remit. Let's read it together. It says, whosoever sins, you remit, they are remitted unto them. And whosoever sins, you retain, they are what? Now, to remit simply means to forgive or release someone from the guilt and penalty of their sin. Simply put. Now, to retain also means to declare that a person's sin remains unforgiving. Now, in context of John 20, this was post-resurrection. This was after Jesus resurrected. Now, the sin that Jesus was talking about is not that somebody just wronged me and I decided not to forgive the person. That's not what Jesus was teaching them. That's not it. What Jesus was teaching is the authority that the disciples now have because of his resurrection to determine whether a person's sin should be retained or a person's sin should be forgiven. So Jesus was talking about the authority that we have to permit the power of God to save. Hallelujah. So how do you retain somebody's sin? By not preaching the gospel. How do you remit somebody's sin? By preaching the gospel. Because that process is giving permission to the power of God that saves. There's a difference between power and authority. Power is the ability to do, but authority is the permission to do. So you can have the ability and not have the permission. Even though God has the power to save, the authority of that power is with you. The authority of that power is in my hands, is in your hands. If you do not authorize that power, even though the power is available, it will do nothing. In Romans 10, Paul says, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be what? Now he now asks a question. He said, how shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? Romans 10 from verse 14. From verse 14. He said, how shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? Now he says, and how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? They can never believe if they don't hear it. The power to save your neighbor is not with God. The power to save your colleague is not with God. The power to save your friends, those your classmates, is not with God. Now, why is your colleague not saved? Because you have not authorized their salvation. Hallelujah. Why is your neighbor not saved? Because you have not permitted that power in their direction.